on. They're pretty loud. How much can this thing go? This is to stay up here. Test. Might just go without this. Start at 15, right? Yes. Hey, looking good, Sovereign. You realize we have to be Yeah. Subarashi.
Find people who are cosplaying.
That's too big. Yes. I guess next year is just going to be the 10.
Now,
Nice and solid, smooth. Not exactly the same. No, it's
I intended to start out.
happening. Description of the lights change colors.
Sound great. Playing through the projector? Okay, I guess I gotta select the audio device.
Alex, would you mind us taking a photo all together at the end for like our club?
Yeah, that'd be
on
great.
the website. Okay. I just think it'd be really fun if we'd be able to like take a picture with you in front of your whole panel. Good luck.
It's a totally happy show, really.
This part has to be quiet because we're all going to be talking. So hopefully that's the right volume. Please go full screen. All right. Welcome to the Abyss, everybody. Woo! An open discussion, meaning I expect many of you to participate. I mean, not all of you. Not all of you want to.
Why is those in my squirrel?
Ha! Thank you.
She's alive.
So don't feel shy. Anytime there's a topic that you have a thought that comes up about that topic, just raise your hand. You start talking about it. It'll be good. That's the point of the panel. So, before we get started, I want to sort of gauge the familiarity that everybody has with the series. So, how many people here have seen at least one episode or one movie of Made in Abyss? Everybody. Good. How many people have seen the entire anime or both recap movies? Okay, very good. How many people have read some of the manga that's past the anime?
I've seen a little
Not
bit.
bad. How many people are up to date on the manga? All right.
Official translations or fan translations?
I'd say either is valid.
They're on 7 officially, but I think up to 8.
It's gone a little past 8 in the fan translations.
I don't use the mics even. The microphone.
Can you hear me all right in the back?
The microphone.
Oh,
In front of the audio.
testing.
There you go.
Is the music too quiet? I think it might be.
Yeah.
Yep.
You like this music?
That's. All right. So, on the topic of Made in Abyss, well, if I noticed a significant number of you had not seen one episode, then I would have started with a basic description of it, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. So, instead, I'm going to start with my favorite thing about Made in Abyss: the characters. What is your favorite character? Why?
Nanachi.
He's a good one. Yeah. Nanachi?
Nanachi.
Ozen's great. I do love Ozen. Anybody else? Bondrud, yeah?
Yes, Dad.
You said you wanted a reason?
Yeah, reasons, character arcs, character attributes.
And I'm slightly a furry, so I like that. And I really like her personality. I like her, just her random blurt outs of yeah, whatever. It's hilarious.
Yeah, she's real relatable, or he. It's
He?
not known for
No.
sure.
Yeah.
It's not known for sure.
Yeah, Manga Con
I
has
believe
said
she, but it's not known.
Boots up there for best villain right now.
Yeah.
I like Krushka too.
Yeah, sexy, furry. She's got it all.
She's my favorite, but it's not the most common opinion, so, not going to post too much. So, I think what makes the characters so good is their designs.
Yeah.
And the author, Tsukushi Akihito, he was a character designer before he wrote this, and it shows. He worked on Elebits, and honestly, the designs are the strongest part of the characters, in my opinion. Like, just looking at them, you can already tell a lot of personality, don't you think? Anybody have any design elements that they see reoccurring that they picked up on that they think are particularly relevant?
Sort of, their clothes are a little bit larger than the characters are to sort of just emphasize that they're children.
Yeah, or Bondrud. He gets kind of bulky with his arms sometimes.
Mental health.
Mental health? Yeah, you could call that a sort of recurring theme. I mean, the culture of North, it's kind of a messed up place. I think most of us can agree.
A lot of the facial features are very simplistic and under-detailed to give more emphasis on the overall design rather than their faces.
Yeah, simple faces. I guess that's kind of an appealing thing of that particular style. Anyone else?
I think the over gory parts are very intricate. They're very well done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think it does a good job of not showing too much of the gore, but
When it is a gore part, it's really well done.
It's serious.
It's serious, yeah.
Serious.
A lot of the characters have this innocent look about them.
Yeah, innocence.
They're it's much more deeper than that. There's a lot of emotional scarring.
Yeah, this show has tricked no small number of people. Maybe for the better, some people might think, I don't know.
On a similar vein as her, a lot of the characters just seem sort of soft in like how they're designed, how they're meant to seem, especially in the non-cheating.
Yeah, real round sort of designs.
Yeah, a lot of the kid characters, they seem so soft. Yeah, it is somewhat deceptive.
I guess this has somewhat to do with the design too, but honestly, the music does flow with the design. Like, I feel like the music almost perfectly fits all the artistry that's done with the anime in it.
Yeah, great music. Kevin Penkin.
The mystery of all. The mystery of it all.
Yeah, I think that's the most appealing thing about the setting, in my opinion.
Yeah, you want to know what's happening.
If you want to move on to the setting, anybody have any thoughts on the setting? Giant hole in the ground?
It's kind of there. Why is it there? I don't know.
Very mysterious.
I think all the huge monsters, they all seem otherworldly, and some other that's you don't see above ground, obviously.
Yeah, sort of like those Floridian sinkholes. They got species in there that don't exist anywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the inspirations, although I can't find a source for that.
Honestly, like all just the different layers that they offer, and the fact that even some of it's not even yet really been discovered, it makes me really excited. I'm actually a DM for D&D, and I actually want to create a world like this so I can further advance into finding out, like doing other things with it, kind of doing stuff.
Yeah, I think the setting really does encourage RPGs, games, fan works.
The wider world that the series takes place in is obviously not quite like ours, but this the Abyss is this world's fantasy world.
Yeah, you could say that. They do make a point of saying that it's the last unexplored chasm, I think was the wording. So anywhere else, I guess it's just not interesting enough to be worth mentioning. I think the only other country that comes to mind that's been named was Sarony, where Nanachi's from. Sort of Russia-type place, I'm guessing. Yeah, the world as a whole is pretty mysterious.
I heard a theory that the Abyss itself was inspired by the Divine Comedy.
Oh yeah, the Divine Comedy. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Like different layers, levels of hell.
I've also heard that it's inspired by sort of Buddhist hell. Could be both. I don't know. I do have a source to back up one particular inspiration for the setting, which was the author stated in an interview that he was inspired by dead trees. About how he read about how they support these tiny ecosystems where everything's all sort of interconnected and it's all located inside the big tree, more or less isolated from everywhere else. And he found that really compelling. Anyone else have something to say about the setting? Okay, what are your thoughts on the plot? How things progress?
I think from the very beginning of the series, it makes it very innocent, oh, it's gonna be a fun adventure.
It is a fun adventure.
It is totally a fun adventure.
You see a body and a thing eating the body, and you're just like, well, crap. And it just gets worse.
Pretty high stakes adventure. Best kind.
Especially all the foreshadowing is done really well.
Yeah, they did. I think in the early episodes, particularly episode 1, they do a good job of conveying that it's a dangerous place without beating you over the head with it. Leaves plenty of time for fleshing out the setting of Orth. And I love Orth. It's kind of a shame that it got left behind, because it's so great. So, there was also in an interview with the author, he stated that his goal for Made in Abyss was to have a sort of cause and effect focused fantasy. That if something magical happens, his ideal is to find the cause of that. Almost sort of scientific, only backwards scientific, because you start with a conclusion. So, the plot, in my opinion, might be the weakest part of the series. It feels sort of improvised a lot of the time. And I suspect that I know why it feels improvised, because the author also stated that it was originally going to be a lot shorter, maybe roughly the length of the first volume, and then it just got expanded again and again to what it is now.
I read an interview somewhere that it actually was, the original intent was for it to be a video game, and it was, you can see how that would actually be kind of crappy because it's a giant escort quest with quite possibly the stupidest person you're ever escorting.
Nobody wants to be Reg.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Riku just likes to run into danger. And it's also kind of why Reg in himself started off kind of not a lot of personality, because he's meant to be the player character.
Yeah.
And then also I read another one that the reason why Layer 3 was so short is because the manga wasn't doing so well, and they said, oh, you need to speed it up, and you need to bring in something cute. You need to bring something cute. And that's where Nanachi came from.
Yeah, some sacrifices had to be
So,
made.
yeah, and so that's and then Nanachi's backstory happened, and that wasn't so cute.
In defense of the improvised nature, I mean, it's sort of like, it's so explorative that it sort of complements the world building of it, because every layer of it is so limited to itself, because you can't go up. So it's sort of improvised, and it complements each layer individually because it's so
Things are
unique,
revealed.
so new. You have no idea what's coming next, and they're sort of exploring it with you, and the author is probably exploring it in his own head. And
Yeah,
going deeper and deeper.
I guess you could say that it was a good decision from the beginning to make it so that it's so hard to get information from down below,
Yes.
because that gives the author a lot of freedom to not decide things until they actually get there.
Yes.
I think that the plot being one of the weaker points is kind of a negligible thing, because first and foremost, it's about the world build and then the characters interacting with that world around it. So it's more character driven than plot driven, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. So, who likes the music?
Woo!
Kevin Peckin did a pretty good job.
Atmospheric.
He did an amazing job.
Heart-wrenching, exciting.
I know barely anything about music myself, but I've heard that he's very inspired. He takes influence from a lot of things, Japanese and otherwise. Apparently, he really impressed the director.
It's really funny because I've had friends who are over who don't watch anime, and they heard it me playing the opening theme song, and they came in thinking I was trying to watch a movie. Like, oh, let's go, let's watch a movie tonight. I was like, oh no, this is anime. They're like, what? No, this sounds like a full-on movie soundtrack. I'm like, it is. It's not a full-on
Now it's a movie soundtrack because they made 2 movies.
One other comment.
Hearing the underground river playing over the opening credits of the first episode, that's the moment that really drove home to me just very early on that this is going to be something different from anything else I've seen.
It meshes really well with the atmosphere.
Speaking of atmosphere.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, like, so basically for this music, I took the entire soundtrack and I removed the stuff that was too high energy for a chill discussion. And left me with about that.
So how does that work out else?
So for the music, one notable point about the music is in the recap movies, it got switched around in a couple of places. To what effect, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about music.
The actual direction of the music got switched around, or was it?
Like, which tracks were being used in which scenes.
Oh, okay.
I'd imagine the changes weren't too drastic, but some people did notice it got switched around a little. So, one thing that I find particularly interesting about Made in Abyss are the creative influences for the setting and the characters and all that. So, who has noticed a particular influence on the author?
Have you heard of a novel named Roadside Picnic?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm a huge Stalker fan, so yes.
It was a Russian novel from the 70s or 80s by Antonin and Boris Strugatsky. It's about a number of zones around the world called visitation zones, where some sort of alien presence has touched the Earth. And within these zones,
This is sounding familiar.
yes. that they are extremely dangerous. The laws of physics and all of your normal expectations of reality just go awry in the zone, and so being able to walk like 100 meters into a zone is considered a feat of real skill and bravery.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Definitely wouldn't be surprised if he's read that.
In the center of the zones, there's something there that we don't know, and it's supposed to be this big treasure that may
treasure. So you gotta get in there.
This big treasure, this big something. People go into the zones to bring out, treasure and wonderful things. And in the center of them is supposed to be the thing that will answer all your questions. But nobody's reached it, or if they haven't come back.
That reminds me. I don't have a bullet point for it here, but I do kind of want to talk about the relics in Made in Abyss. So what do you think about the relics? I think they aren't used enough.
Yeah,
They're not touched upon.
It's something. Go ahead.
I think the relics are used plenty. You just don't think about it until they point one out. I mean, Reg.
yeah.
Reg.
Kind of is one.
The manga. How many relics is that? Right there. How many is that?
Well, he's an exception. He's the only one who uses relics as much as he should. Everybody else doesn't use them enough.
But the useless ones, like the squishy little balls, like what are they? Like, they clearly had some purpose
Nobody
at some
knows.
point. Like,
They're Nerf balls.
want some sort of explanation. It's frustrating.
I suspect that they're USB drives.
Yeah.
The giant cube is really convenient. When
The giant cube?
yeah, that she was born.
Oh,
Down
the
here.
Yeah, the resurrection device. We hardly heard anything about that. We just sort of saw it used. Definitely convenient for Rico. Good for her that happened. By mistake. Somebody back there wanted to say something about relics?
I was just gonna say, I mean, it gives it kind of an archaeology aspect to it. That, yeah, some of them are amazing, but at the same time,
It feels more believable if most of them are useless, right?
right. I mean, like in an archaeology site, what do they typically find? Pottery, stuff like that. Again, just everyday common that the original owners wouldn't think anything of.
Yeah, it's like in archaeology, most of what they find is what the ancient peoples threw away. So I guess maybe the mysterious squishy relics are like Tupperware containers. Possible. That's my other guess. USB drives, Tupperware containers.
The bell that controls time.
Controls time. Wow.
Does anybody have any opinions on if it's more that the relics are probably more science based, like if there's founding how it works, or if it's just magic? This happens because the relic is powerful and it just makes things happen.
That's above.
You think it's Asimov?
Not Asimov. Why am I drawing blank on all this stuff? But yeah, the third law, the sufficient technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Oh, yeah, that.
Eventually it gets to a point that they're the same thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, I always felt like the relics are sort of magic themed and science themed at the same time. That's a sort of recurring theme in Made in Abyss.
And you do have things that are obviously more on one side of the spectrum than the other. Like Reg is obviously more scientific errand, where things like the rebirth box, that's obviously a little more magically inclined.
Reg, I'd consider Reg pretty magical because he has all the good traits of a robot and none of the bad ones. So, I don't know.
What he is.
We assume he's a relic. They assume he's a relic.
A lot of them also relevant swords. Oh, this one does this great thing. It heals you after, or makes you go crazy, or does whatever other thing. So the more complex ones actually seem dangerous to use in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
it
thing
gives
is,
you
we don't know if that's like an inherent property, or has this thing just been sitting in the abyss for so long it's just turned bad?
I hadn't considered that.
Yeah, that's possible.
Or maybe just both relics kind of give that sense of that somewhat of a sacrifice, like even though with those artifacts, like it wasn't a full sacrifice, but they still had to do something to alter the body to be able to use it.
It looks pretty weird. I mean, I think it looks cool, but maybe not everybody does. Yeah, it's like maybe they just went bad after a while. Maybe whatever civilization created them was fine with them being dangerous to use as long as it worked. I don't know. It's very mysterious. I think it was in layer 2. I think it was in layer 2 or 3 where they found what looked like an airplane buried deep in the rock.
Ship.
Ship, airplane thing.
There's a ship buried in the vertical passages of 3.
Oh wait, no, I was getting confused. They find a ship, and then they also find these turbines, which
Yeah.
might not have been attached to
And
the
that's the upside down windmills in layer 2.
Yeah.
Or in layer 1, sorry.
It's weird. What's going on with that?
Oh, they were getting they're upside down windmills, so they're generating electricity from the flow of air coming up. But that's what Rico says.
Also, what's with Seeker Camp? Why did they hollow out a tree?
Because it's cool.
Did the tree cause the curse to be weaker there, or did it grow there because the curse was weaker?
Simple. I don't know.
No, she would be able to tell.
No, she wouldn't.
But like that's the point.
Magic.
That's the point about a
She
lot
could
of
sense
stuff.
it at least.
Like why elaborate and do a bad job when you could just have whoever's watching just think of their own answer they like.
Nanachi is great at figuring out stuff. She's a real scientist. She learned from the best.
She's a very good cook. That's definitely
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah. Speaking of cooking, who has thoughts on the food of the series? Seems to be kind of a focus, right?
I want to try a Rico bomb.
I want to try and make all of Rico's stuff.
If Rico wants to cook for me, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, it's a sort of, I guess you could call it less glamorous side of survival that you gotta know how to cook whatever is there.
Right.
It makes it feel more realistic when you see Rico doing it all the time. I think that's a sort of recurring theme that it does try to make you feel more like you're watching something real by focusing on the mundane stuff. I like that a lot. So, other creative influences besides that one?
I noticed this, like, especially in the anime, although I only did see the anime, but can't help but compare it to a Monica Magica, that the animation, it looks cute, but once you get past it, it's just like a surprise sinisterness. Plus, also in the opening, they have Red playing with a creature that looks like Kyume.
Yeah, that one's pretty unambiguous. And as for like taking inspiration from the sort of overall direction that Madoka took from cute to sinister, I could see that being an influence. Yeah.
I haven't seen the show in a long time. Prushka's not introduced at all yet, right?
Not yet, no. Nope.
No, but she will be in the third movie, which is coming out in January in Japan and maybe 4 to 6 months afterwards over here. So, looking forward to that.
He's like, hurry.
Anyone see any sort of Dark Souls in Made in Abyss?
Yeah,
Hopeless
well,
things, I guess.
Yeah, the author does love Dark Souls. We know that much.
There's a whole segment. You go down, and you keep going down. It's dangerous. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, there's all sorts of old and decrepit stuff, and you don't really know what's happening, and you got to figure it all out for yourself.
And everything's unforgiving.
Yeah, that's a big part of it
And
too.
the isolation.
Yeah, isolation.
Dark Souls. A story told through its environment.
Yeah.
That's something that's
Yeah.
definitely in common with both.
Yeah, that too.
In Dark Souls, there's barely a cutscene. You mostly just find stuff and see stuff and put it together yourself. And that's what we're watching the characters do. Put together their own stories.
Okay. Anyone notice any Bloodborne influence? I have not played Bloodborne myself, so I won't be able to say much
All the
about
same
it.
stuff.
Just that
I
the
would
author
say-
did confirm that he loves Bloodborne and he plays it all the time.
If I had to guess, since Bloodborne is inspired a lot by Lovecraft, it's likely he took influences from Lovecraft.
Yeah. For a while, people were saying, "Oh yeah, there's so much Lovecraft influence in Made in Abyss." And then at a convention in Italy, he said in an interview, he's never read Lovecraft, but he has played a lot of Bloodborne, and he's aware that they're pretty similar. Anyone notice any Lucky Star influence?
No.
What?
Hence,
You don't think Nancy looks like Konata?
yeah, I can see that.
In her human form?
Well, mostly her rabbit form. Maybe in her human form too, but not really, I don't think.
They both have that kind of kind of like sly eyes, and kind of smirk and stuff.
Yeah, their voices are similar too, aren't they?
Who said she was confirmed to be a rabbit?
She's not been confirmed to be a rabbit, or she, or something. Yeah, it's like they never call her a rabbit. She's just a Narahate.
She's a hollow.
Yeah, a hollow Narahate, and
Fluffy stuffed doll.
Narahate.
it's like they talk about it like there's no particular species within Narahate, but you can see that
She
a
come from
rabbit
Las
or
Noches.
Vichacha or whatever it's called. Now, I got this crackpot theory that the current arc in the manga is based on Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, great. I mean, I haven't read
I'm
that
not going to
far.
explain it because it'll be right to
You
most
can't
people.
just drop that. You
You can just drop that. It's fine.
Well, I mean,
Keep your hopes up.
watch Lilo and Stitch. Read the
movie or the show?
The manga.
The manga.
Oh, I'm talking about Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah, the movie Lilo and Stitch, the arc that movie follows, and one of the characters, Stitch in particular. I've been able to draw a lot of parallels. Could just be a coincidence. There was a Lilo and Stitch anime, so I guess it makes it a little more likely that the author was exposed.
There
to
was?
it. Yeah, there was.
What's it called?
I think it was called Stitch. Yeah, it's called Stitch. Yeah.
Is it horrendous?
I'm not sure. I didn't watch much of it. Less than an episode. So, okay, so the survey I took at the beginning was a little vague. I'm going to get a little more specific this time. Who saw the recap movies in particular? At least one of them. They were hard to find, weren't they?
It was at the theater.
Yeah. Theater was a long ways away from where I was, but I went to it anyway. The second movie was so far away I never got to it. Still haven't watched it. In the first movie, I feel like the transition from half a season of anime to a movie was kind of rough for Made in Abyss. They cut out a lot of the characterization for the Orth characters, which makes sense since those are the ones who are getting left behind, but I like those guys.
What was the point of making recap movies in the first place?
Well,
Yeah,
financial.
It felt the same as Madoka Magica, which was unnecessary.
Yeah, it's
They did that as well.
maybe more financial than artistic as a phenomenon.
I also bring all of those portions of the series into a singular, easily consumed media. Kind of did away with the anticipation that the series had as a whole. And even after watching it again, just that small gap between each episode that you would have, I felt like brought a bit of that anticipation, kind of brought that eagerness to continue further. Whereas within the recap movies, I felt like you lost a lot of that. And so that desire to push forward,
It's too quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It didn't have the spacing that was necessary to entice you to allow you to kind of revel in the occurrences that were happening alongside the characters.
I have some good news about the third movie. If I understand correctly, it covers a smaller slice of the manga than the recap movies did, which means hopefully it'll be even more fleshed out, because there are parts where the anime, not the recap movies, but the anime was more fleshed out than the manga, particularly in Layer 3. So hopefully they'll have some time to do that in the third movie, and season 2, if that's ever happening, who knows?
Yeah, they said that was going to be a long time in the making.
Yeah, like, part of it is that...
Didn't they say they had some other animes lined up that they were too busy with it?
Yeah, Shield Hero.
What is that? I never heard of that.
Yeah, part of it is that there's not that much of the manga left to it that currently exists
That's
to
true.
put into an anime. Once you remove what's in the third movie, I definitely call what currently is there less than one season. So you'd have to wait a little bit.
That's true.
Or just ask the author what's going to happen next. They could do that.
I don't know if he knows.
A lot of the time he doesn't. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that works. And the original FMA.
Oh, God, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, And Bleach, apparently.
He doesn't know what's happening next a lot of the time, but he has, like he said in the interview in Italy, he has this list of ideas that he wants to put into the manga. And whenever he has a new one, he writes it down. Whenever it's in, he crosses it out, and the list has just gotten longer and longer, so the series has gotten longer and longer. But one thing that has remained constant since pretty early on in the process is the ending, which he says that he decided back then. So everything's at least working towards a particular thing instead of nothing in particular.
Right.
Can't be good.
It can be good if done right.
I don't know what to expect at this point.
I guess, I guess like thinking about either possibility, good ending or bad ending. If it's a good ending, he must be trying to make some kind of statement about setting you up to expect bad things. If it's a bad ending, that's what everybody expects.
It just comes down to don't rush it, or else it'll come out crappy.
Yeah, he hasn't been rushing it though. So
That's good.
Yeah. Especially in the current arc. Been there for a long time.
Yes.
Volume-long flashback, although that introduced some characters. Onto those. Dressed as one of them right now. Let's see. Now, something I'm not. Yeah, I think we better avoid talking about the manga too much during this panel.
Probably not. It'd be a bad idea.
No spoilers.
So, who's excited for movie 3?
Excited and
I
terrified.
haven't seen the recaps, but I'm guessing they're not really worth watching.
Recaps are definitely not worth watching if you've seen season 1.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't add anything, they just take away.
I might just watch the series again and then watch the movie.
Actually, there is one thing that they added in the recap movies, and that was sound effects. More sound effects, sillier sound effects, in my opinion. Main Abyss gets sillier every once in a while. There are people who like to make jokes about it, but I don't. It's not primarily silly, I don't think, is it?
No.
It's comedy gold.
I do think it's very funny, but
It is a funny show.
Yeah.
It's also serious.
yeah, you know, it encourages dark humor above all others, for sure. So the author has worked on a couple of other things. There's a very short manga that he wrote called Star Strings. Who knows about Star Strings? Oh, all right. What do you think about Star Strings?
It was good. I feel like it foreshadowed how Made in Abyss could have ended, but I feel like he might subvert what he's already done with that series.
Yeah, I don't want to be redundant, I guess. Someone back there. So the author, he used to play a lot of Splatoon. Now he's more into VR chat, and he has an OC that he made for VR chat called Mokuri, and Mokuri bears a very strong resemblance to a certain non-canon Made in Abyss character. It's complicated, but like this character shows up in promo art, even though it's not canonically in the series, it can't be. But anyway, this Mokuri, she's been pretty popular for a while, and now apparently there's this new project involving Mokuri. And at first I thought it was just like some fans put together a game mode in VR chat or something, and then the Sakushi gave it the okay. But then I found out there were some professionals involved, so is it going to be a full game? I don't know, I can't find any sources that are translated well enough. But I'm going to watch out for that. Has anyone played Elebits?
Very briefly, for the original Wii with the little creatures running around, you have to get with a capture gun.
Yeah.
I played some of it, but I didn't get very far. I got too hard.
Kind of like Pikmin, isn't it?
Like it.
Yeah, I never played it.
Can't even text anyone.
You did do the art for that.
I can see how the art style is similar now that you mentioned it.
What time is it?
It is 3:50.
3:50, yeah. You got 10
10
minutes.
10 till 4.
10 till 4.
25 minutes.
That's right.
Okay.
It's 15, right?
You got forever.
Anyone gonna want to go back on any of those topics?
You mentioned briefly Splatoon.
Yeah, Splatoon.
Just when you said that, it kind of clicked in my head. Some of the characters in Made in Abyss kind of remind me a little of Splatoon characters, like the great big heads and little bodies.
Yeah, I agree.
Just pointed it out. Inspiration.
There's just one Narahate. Won't say much about her, but She looks a lot like Pearl.
Sources of inspiration could also include the idea of like trenches in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like maybe not the whole book, but just the idea of the book 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Just the fact that there's could be stuff down there that we don't know anything about. So it's like he took that and squeezed it down to pocket size so they could be in the story.
It might not be a coincidence that he used the word abyss, which is usually associated with water, even though it's not in this series, but the association's still there.
Tagging on to that, I feel like there's a lot of interesting parallels with another novel by the same author, which was Drake to the Second Earth, where they found large masses of past civilizations.
I totally forgot about that. Isn't there kind of like dinosaurs and stuff?
Not only that, but the flora was also incredibly immaculate in terms of its progression and how far removed it was from anything seen on Earth. And if I remember correctly, certain aspects of that novel had depictions of a society that had long since been removed from that area. And so
That's meaty.
having those kind of
if she
parallels
wasn't
alongside
not
this aspect of what would happen if they were to be utilized for the good and for the torment of modern society.
It does sound very familiar.
That would be meaty if she was an artist.
Do you guys think that her mother actually sent her the letter, or do you think it was the Abyss?
Shows her being.
I mean, I think saying that the Abyss itself wrote something might be getting a little too abstract. But to say that somebody who isn't Liza wrote something,
Like that she
I don't know.
didn't know exactly what they would look like. I mean,
Well, the main person who told Rika that her mother was alive was like Ozen, and Ozen isn't exactly sane, so I think her testimony.
She doesn't like lying to children, though.
That's fair, but
As
she
an
could
artist?
believe it.
As an
She
artist?
could know she's fine.
Or how they-
She's bad.
I'm thinking
her
Ozen. She's all about brutal truths. The brutaler, the better. If she thought Liza was dead, she'd say so to Liza's
It's not
daughter. She would
canon,
love saying that to her. She wants to say that more than anything, but she can't because she doesn't think it's true.
She can't fathom what's beyond the sixth layer because she's never been. She has no
Even
idea
beyond the
how
fifth
bad
layer.
it gets.
Yeah, that's true.
It can only get worse.
It's not like she's expressing any certainty, but she says, if anyone could survive down there, it's Liza.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
So where did we come off on that Nanachi is not a girl? Like, in her human form?
Oh, yeah, so in the human form, so this is where it gets kind of ambiguous.
Because we know Miti's a girl.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So, like, it could be that this just wasn't translated right, or maybe it was worded in an ambiguous way, but there was a moment in an interview where Tsukushi said, trying to remember the wording, it was, before the transformation, there was a gender, now there isn't.
Oh.
You don't get to know what it was, but there was one.
Yeah, yeah. He explicitly said, I'm not defining what the gender was beforehand.
And it doesn't seem like we're going to revisit that stage of Nanachi's life in flashbacks, so probably going to be mystery forever. Another mystery gender character, Maruruku. Is Maruruku a boy or a girl? Who thinks boy, who thinks girl?
Wait,
I think
which
they're
character
cute.
is that? The
Maruruku.
the brown one?
Milk. Milk.
Meryl.
Mark.
Yeah. Show me a picture or something.
It's
The blue one. The maid.
Ozen's assistant.
Oh yeah, that one's way more.
Their gender is.
I would look it up, but there's no freaking data right here.
Yeah. We're not giving much to go. We're not giving much to go on. And again, this is another character who's not coming back anytime soon. It was hinted strongly enough to convince me.
Yeah.
Russia's canon.
Not confirmed.
Alright, is also.
Yeah, whatever Ozen wants them to be.
Yeah, whatever Ozen wants him to be.
Yeah, I'm sure she has some pretty strong suggestions.
Oh, never mind.
Like one strong suggestion
Yeah,
was
it's a
wear
different
this maid
character.
outfit. None of the other Delvers wear a maid
That's
outfit,
what
but
the
you have to.
green character was.
Kind of sad.
I guess I haven't seen it. If you
Oh, yeah.
want to read that, or just wait till the third, yes.
Maybe that was
Then
his
you'll
call.
know.
Yeah, it could be.
I want to.
I might be misremembering, but I think there might have been a hint at some point that he has to wear the outfit, or there was some other punishment against him for failing the same tests that Rico and Reg were given to survive in the wilderness. Is something bad happened to him because he failed? I don't know if that was wearing the dress though. That's the part that's not confirmed.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was something. We don't know what. Somebody mentioned the title earlier. Did you know that the title used to be Hello Abyss?
Hello, Abyss.
The editor made him change it.
Good choice.
We're all glad that he did.
So then it's not referring to Reg explicitly because if it was made in Abyss originally, that could have been just Reg was created in the Abyss. But if we had another idea before,
I don't think the title is about Reg.
Yeah.
I believe that it's about Reg and Rico. Because it's true.
But if his idea was something else originally, it may have just been the editor pushing him in that direction, and it may not be related.
I don't think that the editor changing the title really has much to do with.
Yeah, I don't think it has
Reg's
much to do with
origin.
it.
I think there was probably some sort of brainstorming session where they just arrived at that idea and they both said, "Oh yeah, that's true about Reg and Rico, who are the two protagonists." Did you know that Reg and Rico used to be the same person in the early stages of drafts?
Really?
Yeah, really. Sakushi says that that's why Rico's kind of a tomboy, because she used to be Reg. I think it would be a lot less interesting if it was just one person. Reg's invulnerable. Rico knows how to do stuff. Combine that into one person. Where's the drama?
It's kind of how it went to Star Stream, though. It was just one person isolated on the world, and there was that stream going to the unknown, and they followed it.
This one's too loud.
I mean, how would it pan out with just one person meeting Nanachi, while one of them's being hit by poison and the other one's over there?
Well, that was an early stage. So
it wouldn't work. So it would be a whole story part you wouldn't even have.
He's a design guy, so designs are his thing. But even then, he might not have even had Nanachi's design back then. He really loves designs, though. He's got so many that he can't fit them all in Made in Abyss. Yeah. Has anyone read his art book, Door Beetle Recco? What do you think about Door Beetle Recco?
As much as I like this panel, I gotta go to.
Yeah, he's got that fantasy story about the witch and the wolf or something. You mentioned it. I thought that was really cool. I hope he pursues that eventually. Don't just abandon Made in Abyss.
No.
What time is it?
2 minutes till 4.
Is this an hour long or 45?
Hour long.
I've got 3 hours.
You're going until the cosplay contest.
Time passes differently here.
Yeah, time passes differently.
Time does pass differently here. Oh yeah. Which layer is this? This panel?
We're in deep.
Well, I'm here.
I don't know about y'all.
We're at least 4.
We leave, we die.
I can't return for sure.
Stand on a chair and see what happens.
Stand. I thought it was 10 meters instead of 10 feet.
No, it's sideways.
Is those inhuman?
Oh.
Like I also
Wait, are we sure we're not just doing?
One thing I always kind of wondered is that they give the distance that you can travel without suffering from the curse, which it's lower at lower levels, but they never say if you do that more slowly, does it help?
No.
No.
The Nachi showed that, didn't she, by slowly coming up and poking her head
They had-
through.
Still effective.
They had the invisible blanket thing that was basically, the way I looked at it, and I just interpreted how it was explained, is it's basically like maybe like a force field or something that's constantly pushing down to keep whatever's in their back. And as you come up, you're just fighting that pushing on you, and that's what the curse so much is just that pressure or that energy coming down on you as you go up. You're literally basically fighting air pressure and some sort of odd reverse gravity. It's just going to crush you if you keep going.
Right. Didn't they also say that it's the field that causes the curse is the same thing that conducts light so far down below where it really shouldn't be? So
It's just one field. It does everything.
Yeah.
It's a multi-field.
As far as they know.
So to talk about its purpose, assuming that it's artificial, to talk about its purpose, I guess it's to sustain an ecosystem, maybe, or for the sake of
giant
whoever was living there, praying
terrarium?
skeletons, aboriginals. You got layers and layers of civilizations. Could have been earlier ones or the later ones, repurposing some of the earlier stuff. Could be that the most recent lost civilization had no idea what a lot of the relics were either.
Oh, man.
But then they would speculate about it and write about it in their Abyssal runes, which sort of confused the issue because they had this advanced character system for writing that was attached to a spoken language, but then that was lost, and so now the Orth still has that character system, but they don't know what it means, and they have no idea what it sounds like. Very mysterious.
Something wiped them all out in one go while they were still praying actively.
Happening again.
Thing that wiped them all out in stages. Could it be related to
Yes.
birthday disease?
Yes, it's my personal theory.
Or they just knew it was going to happen. They just started praying and then died like that.
That's an
Every 2,000 years.
It's every 2,000 years. Each layer is every 2,000 years, and it's approaching 2,000 years again.
At the top.
At the top. So.
We start this theory from the beginning.
Okay.
Popular theory that it's been sinking every 2,000 years. So it's probably going to happen. Top layer where North is at some point.
So then you can escape it. The birthday disease, you just leave.
Yeah. Yeah, he went out to the ship, didn't he?
Yeah, and you got better.
Which,
So everybody at the top becomes at some point in the middle because they were all worshiping the hole itself. And it just sinks
They just
to
keep
the
saying,
end.
so eventually Orth will be layer 1.
Right.
This is a cycle thing. It's weird
because
because
there's the pressure pushing down at the top, that could also be what's just pushing the abyss itself down. And whatever's creating that causes that illness to everyone around.
Because I was wondering what the connection was between the magical stuff, the birthday disease, and the physical stuff, which is the segmentation of layers. And so that would explain it, that it's the physical force that pushes down and makes it deeper.
It's just a slow process, of course. Rocks are slow.
Slow, but sometimes they go fast, I guess. Every 2,000 years. We don't know, but maybe we'll find out. All right, any other thoughts?
Just to throw it out there for my original curiosity, if anyone wants to answer, what was the exact moment watching or reading when you realized, oh no, the bird?
The poison, arm break.
Yeah, that.
The first time they go down and the kid's hurt.
The bird.
Just eating a child.
Just
He's all right. What was his name? The dog.
Because for me, when I've had people come like, okay, you like weird shows. What is this bright, happy crap I keep hearing about and seeing this cat girl that you've been watching? I said, watch it until a very certain point. You'll know when they go down a hole. You come back to me and you let me know. Everyone who I've had try to watch the show based off, not my recommendation, but they found it and asked me, they will not go past that point in the show.
Episode 3?
Yeah, they won't go past going down the hole.
How did they stop?
But yeah, how did they stop? Wait a minute. I watched it all in one night.
They assume that there's just an Orth on every layer, and it's exactly the same every time.
It's a psychological thing. They know it
get worse.
They don't want to see it get worse. They know,
Oh.
and they refuse.
Did you threaten them and call them cowards?
I've told them not all I know is bright and happy. Please go watch Grave of the Fireflies and try again.
Does anyone here just every now and then just stop and think about like
Or like the whole village just get blipped.
yourself going down, like and not knowing what's at the very bottom,
I would
but
not.
knowing that you can't come back and just get a really uncomfortable, dreadful feeling?
Yeah, you'd have to be crazy to go down there voluntarily. And
Oh yeah, kind of like just stop out. They're gonna tell me sat down for a
They don't care about what others people's done in terms of like what laws they broke and what things they've done to survive. She just doesn't care. It just hits to set her free.
they left the realm of man, as Rex says, when he heard that monster making a sound.
I just think it's kind of interesting that it's literally just a suicide mission. Like everybody knows what's going on. And it's just there's like no hope with it. She's just going down to die, basically. Everybody knows.
But she knows there's a venture. I mean, remember, everything that comes out of the box tries to go back to the center of the abyss.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be that, again, the entire thing was just a pretext for something. She didn't really need a reason. It was just, this happened to be convenient.
Yeah,
She was going to go one way or another anyway.
It's definitely something thematic there, but it's hard to tell if it's supposed to be literal. If the box really is the reason she's going down there, or if just the legacy of her mother is enough. I mean, her mom probably didn't go in that box. So.
It introduces the possibility that it may be a compulsion beyond her actual control, external to her.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
There's a very strong theme of the further down in the abyss you go, the more of your humanity that you have to kind of leave behind.
Yeah.
So that, you know, the white whistles are those who have transcended their humanity for good or ill.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how you got these sort of monstrous saints. That's the role that they play in their religions. They're basically saints.
Now that we've covered cosmic horror a bit, is anyone who's caught up to Volume 8 or past that, like, does anyone think the body horror could get possibly any worse?
I mean, oh dear God.
Yes.
Honestly, at this point, I'd even say it's getting repetitive.
Well, I was gonna say, so I know like when they said that they passed the layer and that being basically if you come up and that you die. I was curious if instead of actual death, what if they are transforming into these beasts and that's how also this is kind of being fed as often these people that are using.
Yeah, it's so the way it works is from the beginning. You're looking sort of from the outside into this culture. You're exposed to the same classes as the children, and they say, "Come up from here, and maybe you die, or maybe you turn into a monster." And then later on, I think it was Nanachi who said that, well, no, they don't really die from the curse itself. They just turn into monsters and get euthanized. And Delvers don't really want to tell people that because it's pretty uncomfortable. So, so they just say, "Oh, they died." Really dangerous down there. You know how it is. So, you had to be crazy to go down into the lower levels. Almost nobody does. Black Whistles do, and maybe not all of them are crazy, but I think, is there a sort of social commentary there about the culture of Orth and how it convinces people to sort of do these crazy things?
I think the world of Made in Abyss is so well fleshed out that like our philosophies and like way of looking at life and the way we live life in our world is so just separate from how they would be able to view their world. Like they would have a completely different lens in which they view everything around them, that it's sort of hard to even comprehend what their motivations could be and why they would want to go down there, because it's something that we don't really ever have to face.
What I like is that if it is trying to depict Orth culture as wrong, it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It does not have an audience surrogate who says, "Oh, I'm foreign to this culture and I recognize that this is wrong."
Yeah.
Instead, you just have Reg, who he has misgivings, but eventually he goes along with it because he sees how pragmatic it is. I appreciate that. Any other thoughts on Orth?
I think there is kind of a parallel between White Whistles and people we consider overachievers in our own society, where we see a lot of stories about people who have done very amazing and noteworthy things, but they also kind of gave up some of their humanity along the way of doing that, and we still hold those people up as role models, and then kind of their character flaws kind of get ironed out.
And that's how you have normal, healthy people copying those behaviors.
Yeah.
Because they're idolized.
In the movie Whiplash, it's kind of like something like he was talking about, where like the main character basically goes down this like one-way road of becoming like one of the best drummers ever, and when you come back into society, you come out a monster kind of thing. So.
It makes me think like you were saying earlier about the and that they are like they function as saints in the society. A lot of saints are martyrs, so it's almost as if it's like a religious cause that they're martyring themselves for. The white whistles, going down into the depths, knowing they'll die, just specifically for the sake of.
And then when they do, like, die or reach the point of no return, you throw a big party because they've done the thing they're supposed to do.
And everybody's super excited.
Just more observation. It just seems like culture of Orth is pretty much inseparable from the Abyss itself, and that I mean Orth may have been figuratively, literally built around the Abyss. I mean, there's the White Whistle celebrations, and they're training kids to become delvers to eventually go down there. It's all about going down into the Abyss, bringing back these relics, or going where no one else has gone for. It's all about the Abyss.
It's kind of hard to tell how formal their religion is, but the way Ozen describes it, she says, the Abyss is our God. That doesn't get fleshed out as much as it should, in my opinion, but she does say that much.
Another factor that I sort of latched onto, but it didn't seem like was really fleshed out a whole lot, was like poverty. And like, or like the orphan kids that they're training to kill themselves in the whole, all the people that live in the ramshackle houses.
Yeah,
the slums around.
It's like the orphanage itself. It's in a better part of town because it has a connection to the source of wealth, the entire city. But then the labor that they get comes from the bad parts of town.
So it's like the poverty itself is also a driving factor for some of these people that just want to make it rich quick if they can and get out of their situation.
The city only has one really lucrative industry, and you're really poor. Even if that thing is really dangerous, what else are you going to go for?
That individual over there mentioned that the parallel between the saints and the white whistles, and that saints are often martyrs. And you mentioned earlier that in order to become a white whistle, most of them have to really sacrifice their humanity for better or for worse. And I think there's definitely a parallel between martyrdom and kind of giving up your humanity with the white whistles and saints and whatnot.
Yeah, I suppose so. All right.
We have like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Any final thoughts?
Good panel.
Good panel. I gotta give some credit to the Berserk panel at, was it AWA?
2017.
AWA 2017, which was an open discussion similar to this, and I thought, how different are Berserk and Made in Abyss really?
This one actually releases new chapters.
Time is relative.
The deeper you go, the slower it is.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I bear witness to that.
What relic do you think Liza's whistle opens for controls?
Liza, okay, it can't be Blaze Reap. We know that because it was activated. Yeah, I couldn't guess. The only guess I have is the Unheard Bell, just because that's the only big important thing that's really associated with her. But it could just as easily be something we haven't heard of. Probably will be, like I said, sort of improvised.
Do you guys consider Rico a relic?
Not really.
Not really.
She might be after she was.
She's a zombie. That's weird.
She's a zombie. She's weird.
Like this whole
If the
this whole
relic is the
society
primary
that we
thing,
have
she's
known
the
nothing about.
subset under the relic.
What's the significance of her eyes being affected by the curse? Is that gonna have a particular consequence later, or is it just sort of arbitrary?
That might be where she loses her humanity.
Her being
Lose your eyes when you become an Arahate? That'd be interesting.
She could be a relic that her function is to just go towards the center of the abyss and just full stop. That could be the entire drive of the relics.
All right. Guess we're done. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
Let's keep going.
I enjoyed that.
I think we made a good call with getting the questions right too.
The way you worded that question.
Well, it's not like It's not like I can just talk at him for a whole hour.
It hit me hard.
I could. I thought about that, and mine would definitely be a talking point.
Ooh.
You know, we actually don't necessarily know that the civilization at the very bottom of the abyss, if there is one, is extinct. They could actually still very well be there.
Could be, yeah.
Alright. So could we take a picture with you real quick?
Yeah.
So that was a really fun panel, by the way. It really just made me want to rewatch it because it's been like, I think whenever it first came out is when I watched it. So
It makes me want to finish watching it. 'Cause I've only seen like.
to watch it.
Yeah.
Never even.
To start from the beginning of the manga. That's similar to rewatching it. Follow
True,
through.
you're right.
I'm always looking for something else to watch. But does it make yourself want to go deeper?
I mean, the part of me is going, yes, go down there, and the other part is like, no, don't do that.
Oh, let me stop recording.